Hey there, do you know what you believe about yourself can play a pivotal role in your success or failure? A wise man once said, "Success is not to be pursued, it is to be attracted by the person you become." If you're interested to learn how to develop the right mindset for that your next business adventure or career, sit tight, grab a drink. I will be back right after this, okay? Welcome, everyone, to yet another intriguing and innovative series called Entrepreneur Series. I'm your host, Connie. Welcome. If this is your first time and you're watching us live now on YouTube or you're watching a replay, make sure you click that subscribe button and make sure you share this video, like it as well too, and you can click the notification bell somewhere down below and you can get notified each time we go live or upload a new video. And if you're watching on Facebook, what are you waiting for? Make sure you click that like button also and share this video. And I think Facebook have these cool features that will allow you to create a watch party so your friends can join in the fun that we're about to have here, okay? Because we're about to have a good time. So I want to know, how is everyone doing? How is your health? How is your mental health? How are you coping with the whole pandemic? I hope you guys are blessed. I hope you guys are well. Please make sure you comment below if you are okay. Type in "I'm blessed" because I want to know how you're doing. And also, I want to know where you're watching from, what country, what state. I'm interested so I can say hi to you guys. And disclaimer, this is a pre-recorded video that I'm using to go live now. I know a lot of you will be wondering, what's she talking about? I know, things do happen. This is a typical example of man proposed, God disposes. But guys, things happen. When things happen, you try to find a way to work it out. And we have to learn to adapt and adjust quickly. So moving forward, because it's always forward ever, backward never. So guys, but still this shouldn't be an excuse for you to comment below, because guess what, I will be in the comment section right now responding to all your comments, and I want to know where you're watching from. I want to know how you're feeling, so I can check up on you guys and also know how you guys are feeling in general, like overall health. So make sure you comment below too. And feel free to ask any question during this live stream. Do not hesitate to ask any question, okay? It will be addressed, trust me. So, guys, you know how we do. We have to commit this live stream to God Almighty because He's the beginner, He's the maker and finisher of our life. So, let's go ahead to today's Bible verse of today, which is Philippians 4:8. And I read, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Okay? So, guys, good things should be in your mind, positive mindset. That's what you should aspire to have always, because that will help you whatever you're deciding to do in life. So, guys, what's this entrepreneur series all about? Let's talk about it. If you are new here and you don't know what this all about, entrepreneur series should be a safe place for us to discover different ways to make money. For example, starting a new business that can yield a profitable revenue. Think about this as a fresh start to a brighter future for you and your family. So, what should you expect on this live stream? This will be streaming live every Saturday at 2:30 p.m. So make sure you join in every Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Yes, check what time that will be on your city or your state or your country. Eventually, I will convert this live stream to a podcast. So just in case if you are not able to sit through and watch the live stream, don't worry, I got you. I will convert this to a podcast and release it tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Time. So you can listen to it while going to work or wherever you're going. So make sure you join. Hold on, let me fix my mic, guys. Got you. Okay, so make sure you tune in tomorrow, and my podcast is available in all listening platform. Okay, So, guys, remember, like I said before, keep on asking questions. I will be in the comment section addressing all your questions. And if I cannot answer it, I will redirect it to where you can contact our guest today. Okay. Talking about our guest today. Okay, guys, the topic of today is empowering mindset. Let's bring it in the screen. There you go. The topic of today is empowering mindset. So, without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump into the topic. Our guest today has worked with hundreds of corporation and government agency, including the U.S. Secret Service, Chase Bank, Estee Lauder, NOAA, and NASA to help people reach new heights of effectiveness by understanding themselves and others. His ability to help leaders, team members, and people from every background and diversity adopt empowering mindset and strategies that allow them to adapt, reinvent, and transform the result they produce, both personally and personally and professionally. So who am I talking about? Our guest today is Tony Chatman. Let's bring him on the screen. Hi Tony, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Connie. How are you?
I'm doing well. So how are you adjusting with the whole pandemic? How's your family? How's your health?
It's a fascinating journey. My family's good. My boys came to live with us for a period of time because the colleges had shut down, and now they've gone back to their respective cities. I think the work of keeping yourself mentally healthy is critical for all of us because there's so much stress, so many unknowns, and you're just bombarded all the time. So, I'm doing well, but it's a constant uh, endeavor, really, for me to make sure that I'm just in a good place emotionally, that my wife's in a good place emotionally, that my kids and my circle of influence, and we really check on each other consistently to make sure we're good.
Yes, we have to do that constantly, especially in these unprecedented times. Things can happen anytime, any day. And we always have to make sure we are, going to the hospital, making sure that we are good. Because sometimes people will have this sickness they wouldn't even know. So it's good to check on each other. So, okay, so the topic of today is empowering mindset. But first, I want to ask, your education background is in chemical engineering. So, how did you transition from working a corporate job to now becoming a speaker? How did that even happen?
Yeah, okay, so it's a crazy journey, right? I was a chemical engineer and a successful one. I was enjoying what I was doing, and I was really all about money. I'm not going to lie to you. It was about success, money. I mean, it wasn't anything nefarious or, I wasn't, some person of, you know, bad character. I wouldn't take advantage of people. But all of my goals really were set around money. And about 2 years out of college, I was working, and some friends of mine, we decided to start volunteering at an organization. This was in Chicago, and there used to be a large housing project called Cabrini Green. It was actually the second largest housing project in the country. And as we started mentoring young boys, it really shaped and molded and changed my viewpoint of the world. And I remember specifically there was one boy named Osi, and he and I became really close. And one day we were talking, and he just wasn't himself. And to make a long story short, his mom was gone. And when I said gone, what do you mean by gone? He said, well, she binges on drugs. She'll go away for 2 or 3 days at a time. And so right now I'm just focused on taking care of my 1-year-old brother. And I'm thinking, okay, OC was like 7 or 8 years old at the time. And I'm thinking, here's a
Wow.
kid who's just brilliant. He's got social skills. He's got what we would often call it. And yet he can't even go to school because he's taking care of his younger brother. And it really, it changed how I viewed everything. So when I went back to work, it just, making money for a corporation and even for myself, just, it dropped down on the priority list. And so within about a year, I had made the decision to leave my corporate job, to leave my grad school. I was at University of Chicago, which was one of the 5 top business schools in the country, and really to work in nonprofit and ministry. And so, because I just wanted to make a difference in the world. And so I focused on that, and doing that really refined my speaking skills. I mean, I was already a very good presenter, but when you're speaking 3 to 4 times a week for 8 years, you really refined that craft. And so, at the point of time in which we decided to leave ministry, I started a business that was fine, but at some point I realized that the gift that I had was to be able to take ideas and communicate them in a way that connected with people. And so that's how I ended up, kind of long story short, going from being a chemical engineer to being a speaker.
Wow. That's impressive. Wow. And I love the way that, you were able to sympathize with the young boy. A lot of people will sit there was like, and just look past it because they are only focused on what they have about themselves. I love the way you're able to
Mm-hmm.
see past your needs or your wants and actually care about your community. So that's why you are so determined in helping your community. You're involved in your community as well. And also, even speaking to people, that's also impacting people. So a lot of people need that. They need that motivation. They need that words of encouragement to keep moving forward. So thank you for doing that for your community.
My pleasure. I mean, it's where my heart was. So I didn't see it as a decision. I saw it as the right thing, the natural thing to do.
That's true. That's true. We have to try to do the right thing, as possible as in any way we can. We don't have to
Mhm.
always do everything perfect. We just have to just try our best. Know that we tried. That's all we need to know. So let's go ahead and talk about today's topic, empowering mindset. Let's not beat around the bush. I just want us to just dive right into it. So let's start with the mindset. What is mindset, and what role does it play in our lives?
I mean, your mindset is how you view the world, right? It's you and I can see the same thing and yet take something completely different from it. You see you because we'll focus on different parts. And so our mindset, it's all of the assumptions, it's all the viewpoints, it's all of the perspectives that we have at the world. And it is in many ways our mindset, our relationships, and our decisions are what define our lives. And so,
That's
when
true.
you start talking about your mindset, that your mindset is going to determine your relationships. Your mindset's going to determine your decisions, and your mindset's going to determine what's important to you, and it's going to change the lens in which you look at things. Like I remember I was in Bermuda, and I was talking to a young lady who was starting a business, and she's like, I can't find the right whatever. She couldn't find the right resources, and I said, here's the issue: you're not looking, because I promise you the resources you need are right in front of you and you just don't see them yet. And I said, if
That's
you
true.
just start looking for them, you'll find them. And I was in Bermuda for less than a week. And by the time I had left, she had found all the resources simply within her relationships and the people she already knew, because her mindset shifted and she started seeing opportunities where before she just saw people and things. So your mindset really drives a lot of things. And I'd say here's where it becomes most important, because I'm looking at the title, empowering mindset. Here's where it becomes most important. I came to the realization that because I live outside of the box, the majority of the things that I do, other people don't see. They don't see the possibilities that I see. And so I spend 90 to 95% of the time doing things that other people tell me you can't do. They're impossible. But it's because they have a different mindset than I do. And I think that really helps to define where we go.
That's true. That's true. You are absolutely right. Going back to what you said earlier about the girl telling you she doesn't have the enough resources to do whatever business that she wants to do. I think this is sometimes this to tell us how much our mindset play a role in our everyday life. A lot of people, for instance, what I do, podcasting, or even YouTube, being a YouTuber, a lot of people will tell you, oh, I don't have the good camera. I don't have the best camera. I don't have the best microphone. You don't need all those things sometimes. Your smartphone that you have right now, you can use that to at least start. Then as time
Mm-hmm.
goes on, when you perfect your craft, then you'll be able to have the money to even improve, to upgrade to a better quality. You don't necessarily have to have everything right now to start it. I think sometimes we have this self-sabotage mindset that keep us stuck. in one place, and we think that we can't do it because we don't have this, we don't have that, or whatever people would say. So I'm glad that you were able to speak to her, and so that she will feel empowered, feel like, I don't need all these things, the ones that I have, so she can look, close to close, with people that she know already, or what she have already, so she'll start using that. So thank you for doing that, because a lot of people get stuck in that mindset, that narrow mindset, that I don't have it, I can't do it, or I can't, there's no way I can be this good. So
Yeah, well, I mean, perfect is the opposite. Perfect is the enemy of done, right? If you're so focused on getting it done perfectly, you'll just never do it, right? And I remember a very famous speaker. I don't know if you know who Les Brown is, but I used to travel with Les Brown, and Les would he said, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, because you have to do it poorly before you can do it well. Because we were all beginners at one point in time. So I think that really, but the question is, do you want to do it enough where you're willing to go through doing it poorly? Because a lot of people aren't. They're like, well, okay, I didn't do it well, so now internally I'm struggling with it and everything else. No, if it's something you really want to do, you can go through that learning curve of, I didn't do it right. So like podcasting, I don't have the right camera. My first videos, I'm too close to it, I'm too far away, and all that other stuff that happens. But that's part of the process if you're going to get to the goal that you want to hit.
that is so true. So just going off topic now, guys. If you're joining us for the first time, or you're just joining us, welcome. This is welcome to Vent Time with Connie podcast. This is a live show, so we are talking about empowering mindset. And please feel free to chip in your feedback or question that you have in the comment section below, and I'll be addressing it all. And I'll be in the comment section with you guys addressing it. And this is a pre-recorded video, so I'll be in the comment section addressing it, or directing you to the right source if I can answer it. So going back to the discussion of today, what we are talking about, you did made a great point. I want to ask this. In life, you have a vision and a purpose to know where you are headed to, where you're going. Washington Irving says, great minds have purpose, others have wishes. Do you agree that one must be intentional when going after their dreams? And what ways can one identify their vision and goals in life?
Yeah, I think we all have to figure out what our purpose is. And that's the hardest part, right? I don't think it's a question of whether we need to live out our purpose. That's just obvious, right? That's what we're designed for. It's finding the purpose. And I think people go about it wrong. I think there's two things that people need to do. Number one, do what's right. Just in general, in any situation, as best you can, do what's right. Okay, that's kind of the simple one. Number two, because people, start thinking, doing what you're passionate about. I think passion is important, but I think you should also focus on what you're good at. We're all going to find out that we're good at certain things. So I realized in high school, I'm good at speaking. I started getting into debate and forensics, and whenever I would read, people go, wow, you're really good at that. So by the time I was in college, I realized I could use my presentation skills to be more and more successful. From there, it went to by work. When I was a chemical engineer, I wasn't your normal chemical engineer. I'm not the guy who was always, putting everything in the notebook and, piece by piece. I'm actually almost the opposite. I'm one of these completely outside of the box thinkers. I'm the guy, like, if you remember in the movie The Matrix, there's a scene where Neo goes and he's talking to Cypher, and Cypher, he's looking at the Matrix and it's coming down, and he goes, but where Neo just sees the numbers coming down. So I was like, okay, that's a building there, that's a person doing this. That's how I view the world. I see it differently than other people. So I realized I'm not your normal chemical engineer, but I could communicate what I saw differently. And so that kept translating. And what would happen is, the more I did what I was good at, it would open up the opportunities for everything else. And then I could find out what I was passionate about, because I really had no idea. And then I would start to incorporate that more into my world. And so that's why I tried ministry. That's why I did other business things, because doing what I was good at and refining that skill opened up opportunities, and then I was able to see my passion. But if you don't do what you're good at, your passion will be in front of you. You can miss it, completely miss it. But then once you get to that point where you see it and you've been doing what you're good at, then it all starts to come together. And I believe that's what's important, because many of us, we have things that we're good at, but we do things that we're mediocre at. And we need to start focusing ourselves on the things that we're good at, because that goes back into, I mean, you started off with the scripture, so that goes back into the Bible though, right? So look at 1 Corinthians 12 and Romans 12, we're all parts of the body. So we all have our strengths and our gifts, and it's using our strengths while other people use their strengths that allows the whole collective to be stronger. But if we're too busy doing things we're mediocre at and not doing the things we're good at, then we're not using our strength, and the whole collective suffers.
Wow. Wow. You did point out a great thing. Like you were talking about focusing on what you're good at. And I think sometimes, like you say, a lot of us focus on what we're not good at, or what we think people, says what should be good. I don't know how to explain it, but we focus on
Mhm.
sometimes what other people are saying about us, what we should be good at. And then but we don't know, maybe that could be our weakness. And then when you're focusing on your weakness so much, you tend to neglect your strength, and then you start feeling like not enough. You feel like you will never do enough, because that's not really what you're good at. And everybody cannot be good at everything. There are
Right.
strengths, there are weaknesses. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And that's also part of when I said also doing the right thing. It was me volunteering at Cabrini Green if I didn't do that, I never become a speaker, right? If I don't make the decision to leave my job because of what I saw, I never become a speaker. There are certain things that if I don't do them, because in the moment I couldn't connect with getting to hear, but in the moment I thought, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And in doing that thing, then I would grow into everything else. And that was really important for me.
Wow.
And okay, so if you don't mind me jumping in, okay,
No, go ahead.
Because you started with the scripture, you kind of changed where I'm going with stuff, okay?
Okay.
So here's the other thing, and I'm going to get deep on you on this one. I think a lot of people want to reach the end goal before they prepared themselves to get there, okay? And I think that's a very spiritual principle. So there's a scripture here. Let me look it up as we're talking, because there is a scripture that for me defined it in a way that I had never thought of. And the scripture is give me just a second.
Go ahead.
The scripture is in Exodus 23. And what the scripture says, and this is, people don't think of this because this is when the Israelites are going to the promised land, right? And God says, I will send the hornet ahead of you to drive the Hivites, Canaanites, and Hittites out of the way. But I will not drive them out in a single year, because the land will become desolate and the wild animals too numerous for you. Little by little, I'll drive them out before you until you've increased enough to take possession of the land. Okay, so here's what that means, right? Yeah, you're bringing back the minister out of me. Okay, I'm coming out of retirement.
Go ahead.
Here's
So
what that
before you
means.
go,
Okay,
what's the Bible verse? Exodus what?
Exodus chapter 23, verses 28 through 30. Okay,
Okay, got
so
you.
here's what that scripture means. God was telling the Israelites, the promised land is ready for you, but right now it is so big that if you went in there the way you are now, it would destroy you. I've got to wait until you grow enough to be able to receive the blessing I have for you. I think that's the part of life people miss. We get very anxious, we lose patience, we want it all right now. And if instead we say, okay, I'm going to do these things, I'm going to work on my strengths, I'm going to work on my character, I'm going to grow, and then when it comes, I'm actually ready for it. because we've all seen people whose success has destroyed them, right? And that's not what was wanted for us. And so this is why we start working on, making sure we're doing the right thing, making sure that we are working on our strengths, and then as the opportunities come, we grow into it so that we'll be ready for when that opportunity comes that God gives us, instead of him saying, I can't give it all to you right now because you're not ready. So, give me another 10 years and then you'll be ready for it. Grow into it so you're ready for it now.
Yes, you're right, and it actually reminds me of this quote that I heard from someone. I can't remember who exactly, and it says, God cares more about our salvation than our comfort. So sometimes when
Mm-hmm.
you don't get something right now, doesn't mean you're not gonna get it later on. Maybe God thinks that you're not ready. And he's the creator, so he knows the best for us. So we need to just exercise a little bit more patience and persevere through it all, because trust me, toward at the end it's gonna be all worth it. So thank you for references the Bible for this what you just talked about now. So
My
going
pleasure.
back, go ahead, no problem. So
No, go ahead.
going back to our topic, being an entrepreneur requires some level of leadership skills. We are still dealing with the COVID right now, the pandemic, and we are learning to adapt to the new norm. Companies, small business are learning to adapt to new phases their business is facing due to COVID, and are working on carrying their employees along with them. And so, as a leader, what things can you do to help people stay focused during disruption like COVID-19?
Well, I think as a leader, you have to, number one, be very concerned about people, right? I think we use a lot of buzzwords in corporate America, human capital and human resources, but most people don't really believe it. They end up just being a commodity. I think if you really care about people, which is incredibly important in this moment, that is going to be your first guiding part. Because what's happening is people are, number one, if they have a job, they're very grateful to still have a job, because a lot of people don't. Like, I'm in New York, and they were just announcing that they're going to be laying off 22,000 city employees, right?
Wow.
Horrific. And so you think about, all the people who are going to be hurt from that, the damage, everything else. So, people have a job, they're grateful for it, but they're working from home. In the past, people wanted to work from home, but this is different. Now they're working from home, their kids are home. If they have kids, their kids are with them. If they're married or they're dating, their spouse is with them. It's a different dynamic, and people are having a problem balancing work and life because they're working constantly. They're stressed. And, on top of it, there's all of the unknowns that are happening in our lives. And so as a leader, you have to be able to read where people are and to be able to say, okay, you know what? This is what's best for you in this moment. And so you're going to have to be able to, you have to know when to push and when to pull back and help people with that. The second thing is you have to just throw out the past. Just whatever worked in February doesn't count. It just doesn't. This is so different. And so many people are just like, okay, yeah, but as soon as this thing is over, it's not going to be the same when this thing is over. And you have to be able to say, okay, that is dry cement. I can't do anything about it. Let me focus on the wet cement that's in front of me and do something totally different. Because if I don't, I'm going to be just like all of those other stores that died, right? Montgomery Rewards when we were kids, that's no longer. Woolworths is no longer. Toys R Us is no longer. Why? Because they could not adapt. And so we've got to be able to say, I must adapt. And so even ideas that I thought were crazy, let me at least check them out, because they may be the thing that gets us through the next phase.
Wow. Yeah, you are right. And you say something, going back to something you said earlier on. You said about you have to, for this to work, this um for us to adapt to this new norm, especially employers, they have to care for their employees. for to want to help, to want to carry them along and understand that people are dealing with things. This is an adjustment to everyone, like you say, working from home with your children, not just with your children, you now the teachers, because you are tutoring them, you're making sure
Mhm.
they do their homework, and you're also working at the same time. That's like double job right there. That's two full-time job that you have. So employees need to learn how to, you know understand and relate with their, employers need to learn how to, understand their employees and relate with them, so they will understand that this will be a difficult, changes to them. Everyone is trying their best to adjust. So you will also pride yourself as a corporate relationship expert, and I must ask, what is even there, like what makes relationship based leadership more effective than other forms?
So first, the idea came because I was a chemical engineer, right? And I'm working, and I started to realize that as smart as I believed I was, as prepared as I believed as I was for the job, it was my ability to connect with other people that really was getting me ahead. It's who I knew, who I related to, that my company could put me in any city or any town in the country with a client. And, sometimes that would be Philadelphia, and sometimes that would be Morrilton, Arkansas, right? But I could within moments connect with the client and talk their language, nothing fake, but really connect with them. And I realized, okay, that's propelling me farther ahead than a lot of my colleagues. But then I also started to see that was an issue for corporations, right? That companies that were good at that, that was their competitive advantage. And companies that weren't, that was their Achilles heel. But the problem is for most of us, that's not what we're taught, right? We're taught math, science, history,
Numbers.
language,
Hmm.
no, not all those things. We're not taught. So here is how you relate to someone who's different than you. Here's how you talk. Here's how you're patient with them. Here's how you influence other people. And so when I realized that's not what people are taught, but that's what they need, and that's what will make them successful. And I mean successful at work, successful as an entrepreneur, successful in the home, successful in the community, successful at church, their civic organization. It's going to be how you connect with people. That became my focus. I can do other things. I can focus on it. I choose not to because I decided this is the area where there's a need, and this is the area where I can become the expert.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we need that. We need to learn how to connect with other people. Because that's what I feel like sometimes our society is lacking. People just, especially online, people just say whatever they want to say. They don't care who is affecting, how people are perceiving it. They just say whatever because they lack their human connection. And I think technology too has to add to that. People just you can just say whatever you want to say. They don't really have to meet you face to face to say something. So people lack that even human interaction. And then you add COVID towards it too. People would now have to distance themselves, self isolate and all of that. So even increasing it, and people are lacking this connection. And knowing that there's more to this world than themselves and their family. There's a lot going on, and a lot of people need their sympathy, their empathy. We need to learn how to do that. So not going off topic here, but I want first also welcome those that are just joining now. Welcome to Vent Time with Connie podcast live show. We are talking about empowering mindset, and please feel free to send in your question below. So if you have any question so far, make sure you ask your questions, and I'll be in the comment section right now addressing all of them. And this is a pre-recorded video, so I won't be addressing the question. We won't be addressing the question right there and there. Won't be addressing it on this video, but I'll be addressing it on the comment section. So don't hesitate to send in your question, and it will be all answered. Okay. So guys, going back to what we are talking about, besides being a speaker and besides being a speaker, you are also an author. You know, you wrote a book titled "The Force Multiplier." Just the name of this book just kind of it rings bells. And I'm excited to know what it's about. So what prompted you to even write this book, And I want to know, tell us about that. Take us through that, your thought process, and how you got to the name in the first place.
Okay, and those are two separate questions. I want to answer both of them. There's the what prompted me to write the book, and then there's why I titled the book the way I did, right? So what prompted me to write the book is so I started speaking and I started training, and I'm training people around the country, and I keep seeing the same issues. You know, basically people would love their job if it wasn't for their boss. You know, that's kind of what it really came down to. And for a lot of it, it was bosses like, I was thrown in this position. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm learning it on the job. And you just see the same problems. And the same problems almost always come down to how they treat people. And so I started to say, you know what? There's all these books on leadership. You know, I can look right there, and I'm looking at a list of books on my bookcase, just leadership, leader. And most of them have leading in the title of the book, right? So a lot of people have these books, but it's not changing anything. What's going on? And so are people reading the books? Yeah, they're probably reading the books. Then I started saying, okay, well, what do the books talk about? And most of them talk about these really big theoretical ideas. You know, we need to turn the ship and change the culture, and leaders need to, you know, get people to follow. No, because that's all great. But what about the person who just is thrown into a position and needs to know, what do I do to be a better leader now with these 5, 7, 8, 10, 20 people? And so that was the book. Here's the nuts and bolts of leadership. And what's crazy about it, and people started to get it, because at first I thought, okay, I don't know if people are going to get the hidden message of the book. And yet people started to reach out to me and go, I get it. I see what you did. Because it's about relational leadership, it's not just about leadership. If you read the book better, if you read the book right, you'll become a better spouse if you're married. You become a better parent. Because you'll be better at relating to people. And by doing that, you'll be better at influencing them and connecting with them. And that was the idea of the book. So that's the why the book was written. Now, why the title? So the original title of the book was called Why I Hate My Job, which I love. And in fact, there's still a chapter in there called Why I Hate My Job, because that's really what it comes down to. And in fact, I had this idea where the cover would be, you know, it's like a multiple choice question, you know, why I hate my job. And it's like, you know, I don't like my job. I don't like this. And it would be like the third one would be a boss, and it'd be checked, right? That's the reason. And then I realized if I did that, the wrong people would read it. The people who needed to read it would skip over it. And so I was having an event at my house. So I have a really close friend. Really close. Like our families are tied into one another. His children view my sons as older brothers. And so he was getting deployed to Afghanistan. And so we had a party for him at my place. And, you know, maybe 40 to 50 of his closest friends. And we gather around and we're sharing, you know, how much we care for them, how much while he's gone, we're going to stay in touch. We're going to make sure we take care of his family while he's gone. And I was waiting to hear from one particular person. He's a high-ranking officer in the U.S. Army. And he had been to a lot of these, what he termed deployment parties. And he said something that I just wasn't prepared for. He said, you are what we refer to as a force multiplier, because by your very presence, you make everyone and everything around you better. And I thought, that's it. That's it. That's the whole, because often we talk, okay, leadership. Well, you know, leaders have followers. Leaders can instill a vision. Leaders, but do we ever say, because a leader's there, everyone's better? That's how we need to really define leadership. And if we don't, we're not giving it its due credit. And so that became here's where we're going. We're going to look at this from that lens. And so the whole idea of a force multiplier. So a force multiplier is technically a tool. It's a tool that, you know, the amount of force that you exert is multiplied. So for example, a hammer is a force multiplier, right? Because you hold the hammer and you're able to hit a nail harder. Or a lever is a force multiplier because you push down, you're able to lift heavier things. So my thought though is, but you and I can be force multipliers because we can help everyone around us be more effective. And by doing that, we multiply their output, their purpose, and their effectiveness. And so that's really the whole genesis of the force multiplier.
Wow, that's an incredible story. And I think you made a good choice, choosing the name Force Multiplier, because the first name you said about why I hate my job. A lot of people that will read it, mostly people that are unhappy with their job, and they'll just read it just to, let's say, so you will say something not good about their leaders, about their boss, stuff, just all the negative stuff. But they don't want to focus on the positive part of it. And I think the force multiplier, the name on its own is a very empowering. It's very
Mm-hmm.
empowering name and wants to empower you to do better, not focus on what your boss is doing to you or what this person is doing to you. You're basically empowering people how to be a force, how to be a better leader themselves. So I really love the name. It speaks volume. I really love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. No, no problem. So, we're almost to the end. I want also know what you already explained what makes someone a force multiplier, but I want to maintain a positive mindset. Maintaining a positive mindset is very vital. That's why we titled it "Empowering Mindset." So, to conclude this topic in a positive note, how can my viewers and listeners protect their mindset against the naysayers? Because a lot of them are there, and people who want to hinder their opportunity in every way possible.
Okay, I'm going to share a story, and I think this will help. And it comes around the idea. So when I talk about disruption and change, and even personal development, I talk a lot about our comfort zone and that we have to, get outside of our comfort zone. But first, we have to understand what our comfort zone is, right?
Yes.
And understand what's in our comfort zone. And one of the things that's in our comfort zone are other people. So our relationships are part of our comfort zone. So I mentioned two things, Bermuda and Les Brown. So my first professional speaking engagement, I was in Bermuda opening for Les Brown. I actually did that multiple times and I've opened for him multiple times. But this one, I'd left the ministry, started a business, went well, had challenges, was doing some other stuff. And then, by divine providence, I ended up in this situation. And so I'm on stage in front of 800 people. It's amazing. And in the moment, I have this crisis of conscience. I'm like, okay, here I am telling people how to be better. And yet physically, I've let myself go. I'm about 40 pounds heavier than I've normally been. And it's obvious. And so I literally, in the middle of my presentation, I stopped and I said, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Tony, you need to lose weight, right? And everyone kind of laughed. It was clearly what they were thinking. I said, here's the deal. The next time you see me, I'll be a different person. And if I am, you're going to do everything I've told you to, because all I've done is apply the principles I'm telling you. Now, if I'm not, then hey, clearly I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. So I got off stage and two things had happened. Number one, I had no idea if I was ever coming back. I really didn't. But the other thing is, I knew I had made a decision. And here's what happened afterwards. This is fascinating. So Les had something going on, but a bunch of the other speakers and other people, we all went out to dinner, but it was really late. Like it was 11:30, 12 o'clock. Those people start ordering food, and I'm thinking, I know eating late is really bad for me if I'm going to try to lose weight. So I decided I'm not going to do it. So somebody ordered French fries, and they're passing them around. I said, I'm good. Goes, well, just take a few. I said, no. I said, you guys heard what I just said about the decision I made. And then someone said, well, just eat one. And I thought, that's really weird. Well, pay to no mind. I go back home. I'm focused on losing weight. And so, I lose, I don't know, 8 to 10 pounds. You can start to see it. And so then one of my friends was like, hey, you look like you've lost some weight. I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, it's probably temporary water weight. You'll gain it back. And I thought, okay, that's weird. But I'm still focused. Well, then I get a call, Butterfield Bank, who was the sponsor of the event. They love the event. They want to do a follow-up event in 3 months, but they just want Les Brown and Tony Chatman. They don't want any of the other people. It's going to be a full weekend with just us. So now I'm like, I am so glad I stayed focused. So now I'm cranking. And so in 3 months' time, I lose 40 pounds, right? Totally different person. But now none of my clothes fit. So I go to a very well-known clothing store, and I'm like, okay, I need to buy some suits, and the salesperson is trying to help me. So, okay, great. Oh, what do you think? And maybe like a blue, a black. He goes, so why do you need three? Why this big event in Bermuda? Okay, so you don't have any clothes that fit? I said, well, I just lost a lot of weight. Well, how much did you lose? 40 pounds. How long did it take you to lose it? About 3 months. He goes, you shouldn't buy clothes right now. You're going to gain that weight back. I thought, what?
Wow.
So I found another salesperson, got my clothes, went to Bermuda, had an amazing time, ended up getting hired by the premier of Bermuda and all this other stuff. I came back home and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, you know what, Tony? I've got to be honest with you. When you lost all that weight, it took away all the excuses for the things I couldn't do in my life. And that's when it hit me, Connie. Check this out. Then this is a big deal. So earlier I said we have to understand that we have other people in our comfort zone, right? But the other thing is we are part of other people's comfort zones. And guess what?
Wow.
They like us just the way we are. And the minute we
True.
change, we move their comfort zone, and their natural response is give me my comfort zone back. So the minute you say I'm going to lose weight, the minute you say I'm going to change my life, the minute you say I'm going to become an entrepreneur or a podcaster or an author or a speaker, or I'm going to start becoming, healthier in my eating. The minute you do that, even before people consciously realize what they're doing, what they know is now they're uncomfortable. And so what they want to do is they bring their comfort back by changing you to be back to the exact person you were. And so
That's
really when
true.
you go to how do you deal with the naysayers, you realize this is just them trying to fix their comfort zone. It's not about me. It's not just that they're haters. They're uncomfortable. And I can't let the fact that me choosing to be better makes them uncomfortable stop me. If I don't do that, if I stay focused, then guess what? Some will drift off and others will appreciate it. The same way my friend was like, now I see it. Now I get it. Before I was uncomfortable, but now I'm inspired. And that's what will happen. So, if you want the how do you overcome the naysayers, you just realize they're speaking out of their weakness. And
That's
I
true.
am living in my power. And that's the difference.
You, oh my God, that's such a powerful words of encouragement right there. And you did make a great point. Like, people always project their insecurities on you, so they
Mm-hmm.
say those things because this is, like you said, this is their comfort zone. And a prophet is not recognized in his own, so they don't want to
Right.
accept that you are changing, that you are growing, and some of them always have um this perspective about you, how some of them saw you growing up or the mistakes you made, so they don't want to accept that this person they think that probably won't be no good, or this is what they will be, is now growing and probably be better than them, so they're scared of that. They're scared of, they have to look up to you for things that they never thought that they would, that you probably will be the one looking up to them. So I think it's them adjusting to the whole thing. And don't let that, like you said, don't let that discourage you. Keep pushing. And guess what? They will come back. Some of them might not say it in front of you, but they'll be looking up to you. It's like, oh my gosh, I remember this person. I remember when they were trying. I remember this. And they will learn a lot from you. So that's a powerful advice. Thank you for that.
My pleasure.
No problem. So, guys, we have come to the end of this topic. Guys, before we go, I want first talk about our website. We do have website. I will show it on the screen very soon. Our website is Venttime with Connie podcast.com. So make sure you check it out and you can purchase our merchandise. Like, I'm wearing the hat right now and the t-shirt, the white one. We also have the black one. So go check it out. We have all the accessories, stickers, laptop bags, phone cases. Yes, for the Samsung users. We don't have one for Apple yet. I'm sorry, guys. We're working on that. And then we have clothes for babies. We have clothes for children's, like what are youth. Yeah, we have one for ladies and men too. So go check it out, guys, and support as little as you can. So, like I said, we have come to the end of this topic. So, Mr. Tony, where can my people reach you? Where can they get in contact with you?
The easiest way is to go to my website, www.tonychatman.com. That's the simplest thing. You can always find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Tony Chatman, Twitter. I'm not on Twitter a lot. I'm on Instagram more. And someone had Tony Chatman, so it's Tony Chatman Speaks. But you find me on any of those. But if you hit me up on my website, you can just contact me, and I get a hold of everyone who reaches out to me. So that's definitely the way to do it.
Okay, guys. Just in case, to get a direct link to his website and his email is on the description of this video, so you can click on the link and it'll take you straight to the website. And for my podcast listeners, the his website will also be description of this episode that you're listening to now. So once you're done, click the description and you get all the contacts and information about our guest Tony today. So I hope you guys are, those that are watching live stream, I hope you guys are sending in all your question right now. Please feel free to do, because we'll be addressing it. And you can get in contact with Mr. Tony at his on his email, like you can see on the screen right here, speaker at tonychatman.com. You can send him email if you have any other question for him to answer. So feel free to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. So guys, Mr. Tony, thank you so much for coming. I really did appreciate all the words of encouragement and wisdom that you have shared on this episode. It's a great pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure my audience feel empowered now and ready to take that next step in their business or career. So, on behalf of all my listeners and viewers, we say thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a great pleasure. No, chatting. I'm sure we'll be talking on the comment right now. But thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're watching on YouTube, you know what to do. Click that subscribe button and also like this video and share it and click the notification bell so you can get notified each time we go live. And if you're watching on Facebook, also like this video and share it to your friends so they can watch it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are listening on the podcast right now, make sure you follow our social contacts, our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Adventure with Connie. You can find all the links in the description below. And thank you, everyone. You do have the rest of your weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And this is your host Connie signing out. Thank you, guys.